What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Anti-Gravity Group podcast. My name is Braden Carlson.
My name is Taylor.
My name is Shane, or as you might know me, Postart.
And my name is Matthew.
And we are back, folks. I think we skipped one less week than we were initially talking about, but Shane and I have moved to a new place, and here we are. We're out here vibing and having a good time. It's no longer the middle of the desert, so we're thriving over here. The only downside is we no longer have fiber optic internet, so hopefully this podcast session doesn't just collapse and end everything. But anyway, today we're talking about the 12-inch Punisher. What's interesting is I posted the video of the whole build in all three flights to the AGG YouTube channel, which, by the way, now has like 850 subscribers. And 1,000, we're giving away a $100 Wildman gift card. So make sure you go subscribe. And yeah, we only need like 150 something more, and we'll be off to the races. But a couple people messaged me asking about like all the details of the 12-inch Punisher, which is, interesting. They're like, oh yeah, you guys have talked about it before, but I've never seen it. I was like, how is that possible? But okay.
I know. It seems absurd, but...
So, I was like, that's like the one thing people know about us for. Anyway.
That's mostly why we're here.
Because somebody asked the specific...
Yeah, in a way.
All right. So, let's run it all the way to the back, Taylor. Let's talk about why this thing even exists and where this all started.
I mean, I guess it really started when we decided to go to LDRS at the Salt Flats in Bonneville, right?
Yep, Bonneville, baby. I mean, we had talked about it before. We were like, man, a 12-inch Punisher is like the exact same size as Porthos. It's kind of perfect.
Yeah, I guess we had talked about it, but not in any sort of like, only in an extreme dream kind of way.
Yeah. And then, for those of you unfamiliar with Porthos, that was a rocket built by the Gates brothers in the early 2000s. Now it belongs to our friend of the show, Bryce Chanis. And he had Porthos out at the Bonneville Salt Flats. So we got to look at it in person for the first time for me. Taylor's seen it before because he went to every cool launch when he was a child. But
I hadn't seen it up
from
close,
that point,
though,
it kind of just became... Oh, really?
Yeah,
never had the inspection opportunity.
Because the launches that I'd been to where Porthos was, they didn't have like there was always something going like that. There was always something going on. Like Porthos wasn't out, or it was out, but there were a bunch of people over there. So, or they're flying the rocket. So I never actually got to go up and look at it. So that was all very interesting and inspiring.
Dude, don't you hate that when you like want to see someone's rocket, but they're flying it? Like, come on, man, bring it back. I want to look at it. Anyway, so we got to see it fly, and then we kind of started from there. We were like, yeah, we gotta actually make this happen. And then we kind of realized that you could fit 675s around the 98 inside the PML tubes, which we'll talk about all the components and everything, but we started being like, dude, what if we just did 675s instead? So we realized the 75s would fit, and then we kind of went from like joking about, oh, we could do this and it would only cost this amount of money, which only is not the right word for this project in any form. We did an episode, I think it's just called Building Big Rockets is Expensive and a Giant Pain, and we broke down the cost of the 12-inch Punisher. I think starting from scratch, if you had none of the hardware, none of the motors or anything, to replicate the rocket and our first flight of it was like $10,000 almost, right?
Yeah, it was close to that, I think.
Like 9,600 or something like that. But we did have a bunch of hardware, and Taylor got us a break on some of the materials, which we'll talk about. And then, of course, our friends over at Wildman and Lock Precision also helped us out a little bit. But yeah, so breakdown of the stats. It's a 12-inch diameter upscale of the Wildman Punisher. It's got a 98 and 675s. It is, 16 feet tall?
Yeah.
Is it it's a little bit under, isn't it? Or is it over a little bit?
I think it's like right at.
Oh, wow. Man, we're awesome. But it weighs about 120 pounds with no motors in it, which is way, way less than we were anticipating it to be. And as of now, its highest flight is is just under 15,000, right? It's like 14.8 or something like that at Midwest Power.
Just under 16.
Okay. On the N2000, 3 M1297s, and 3 L850s, a 99% O impulse white lightning load. You can go check out the videos of that flight on Rocket Vlogs, or you can go watch the full saga of the 12-inch Punisher that sort of is going to correlate with this episode on the Anti-Gravity Group YouTube channel. So, Matt, I have a question for you, because Taylor and I kept pitching this as a concept, and it was mostly joking. And then
I feel like we complete basically you and I kind of jokingly planned most of the rocket in 2 months after we got back from LDRS, never addressing that it would be really possible until one day we were just like, what if we actually did it? And then we asked Matt if he was in, and we basically had this whole plan for a rocket and priced it out, and we're like, I don't know, it seems like it could be possible.
Well, it's funny because Matt, I feel was yeah, I'm totally in, and either still thought we were kind of joking or didn't understand what he was really signing himself up for until we started asking for money because we were ordering stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how I kind of remember that. Is that what you were going to ask me, Braden?
Yeah.
What was my memory of it? Yeah, I was just I thought it was kind of a joke at first, and then when you guys were actually showing the plans and whatever, I was like, oh, this is actually a real deal thing. And then, what did we do? What did you do first on it? Or I guess we'll get to that.
Well, I was about to get into the component ordering, and so first of all, it's 2.5 PML 11.5-inch tubes. We call it the 12-inch rocket. That's what everybody calls everything built with these tubes, but they are technically 11.5-inch tubes. It's not quite 12 inches in diameter. But we did scale it right for the size. Okay.
11.67.
At the oh, right, of course. At the time, there was only one place you could get a 5-to-1 fiberglass nose cone in that size. And the problem is that it was through Composite Warehouse. And if you're not quite familiar with the history of the owner of that company's previous owner of that company's, I should highlight, situation with, you would send money, a bunch of it, and then not get anything sometimes. Happened to me a couple times. But we wanted it to look right, so we ordered the nose cone. And what was it, Taylor? Because he was like, yeah, I'm not going to charge you till it's ready to ship. And this was a 12-inch diameter nose cone that was $400, and it was the next day, right?
It was 4 days later, maybe.
It's ready to ship. We were like, wow, there's no way that that's true. So Taylor paid for it, and we all chipped in our share. I should note that this was before Postart was in the Anti-Gravity Group. So
yeah.
He has the luxury of getting to fly the Punisher with us, but not having had to have paid for the construction of it.
I don't think he was even 18 yet, right? Were you 18 at that point?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. Because the Salt Flats was in 21, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because you did you were level 2 by then, right?
No, I think I was level 1.
Oh, okay. All right, well, anyway, so Well, Taylor, you want to tell the story of how we finally wound up with the nose cone? But first, I should preface by saying that Wildman Rocketry now owns Composite Warehouse, and they have the mandrel. So if you really want one of these nose cones, they are available. However, I will say, like I said, it was $400 from Composite Warehouse. There was an interesting situation with Composite Warehouse. Everything was super cheap because when you don't pay your bills or make anything, you have no overhead. So I don't think that's what they cost anymore. But the nose cone is available, and it's sick. I mean, it's just like every other filament wound Wildman nose cone with the giant metal tip, but it's just huge. It's sick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But go ahead and tell the history of us actually getting our hands on that thing.
I don't remember exactly how it all went down, but you know, I did make some attempts to contact various ways with no response, and just gave it, you know, a reasonable amount of time. I think a month or two. And then do you remember what happened after that? I think I posted about it online.
Yeah. Somebody started yet another, probably throughout the past decade and a half, the 100th thread about sending money to that individual and not getting the things that they paid for. And I made a comment about my history with that with him, and then you were talking about how you never really went down that path and you knew not to, but we did it anyway. And then after 3 months of not hearing from him about the nose cone existing, he replied to Taylor in probably a couple hours and was like, "Oh yeah, we've been having issues with that mandrel. Sorry about that. We'll get it out." And basically, until there was public complaining, we never got any response out of him. So I'm glad the manufacturing of those products is in more responsible hands now. Sounds mean, but like, come on.
Real quick, I did look up the current price of the nose cone, and it is $550.
Okay, I mean, that's considering how much the cost of everything has gone up since we built this rocket. I think we still bought the first N2 or N3300. No, it was an M2500 because that's what we were originally going to fly. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think we paid like $500 for that thing or something like that on sale, maybe less. Yeah, it doesn't happen anymore like that, unfortunately. N2000s were still under $1,000. What a time to be alive. Anyway, so we got the nose cone. Wildman Tim convinced us that we didn't want to fiberglass the tubes ourselves because we were pretty hell-bent on it in the first place. And after having done the Arcus, we're pretty glad that we didn't do it ourselves on the Punisher. So big shout out to, I believe it's mostly Jay, but I imagine on something that scale, there's a lot of hands on it. But all of our friends over at Lock Precision who made those pre-fiberglass tubes for us. Yeah, Mylar wrap, they look super, super good. And then I'll let Taylor talk about the rest of it because pretty much every other component was handmade by him.
Used Baltic birch to make all the parts. All the rings and bulkheads were 1/2-inch plywood, and I cut it all with a router and a belt sander. And then the fins were 3/8 Baltic birch because we didn't want them to be super thick. To kind of match the look and have the sleek Punisher look upscaled. So 3/8 was about right. And we also wanted to save weight because it's the correct length, but because we were putting so many motors in the back, we just need all the help we can get. So we came up with this plan to cut out the middle of the fin and do foam insert, and then fiberglass, or actually we did 3K carbon fiber over that. And the fins actually turned out super light. Do you remember how much they weighed, Braden? I think they were like 2 pounds or like 7 pounds for all 3 fins or
No,
something?
I know we weighed them all together, but I don't remember. Yeah.
I think they were like 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, it was super
each.
light. We were like, what is going on? But then we discovered that they were squishy in the middle, and we didn't like that very much.
Yeah. And this all 7 pounds sounds like it's really heavy, but the root of each one of these fins is 3 feet long. So, that was,
Yeah.
they came out way lighter than we
It's
thought,
insane.
all things considered, even once we did the extra reinforcement. So we put the carbon on them and let it cure. And then we're like, oh man, it's still kind of squishy. I don't really like that. But once again, we're just winging it because, like, we're not engineers and we hadn't built anything close to this scale, but we're like, well, we know we want to fly it past Mach, so probably wouldn't hurt to put some more reinforcement on there. So we added another patch of carbon over the foam part and then did the fiberglass tip to tip, right?
We did the tip to tip first, and then after that cured, we were like, it's still kind of squishy. So then we did like cutouts of the shape of the fin, the size of the foam on top of the tip to tip glass. So I feel like at the end we might not have actually saved any weight by doing the foam cores, but the whole rocket weighed a whole lot less than we thought it was going to, so it's probably a wash. But yeah, like Taylor said, it's like it looks long just because it's a big rocket, but like the Punisher is, as a design, I mean, a pretty ideal length to diameter ratio, but it is fairly short for having a bunch of weight in the back. And a 98 and 675s, coincidentally, is a bunch of weight, believe it or not. So there's like 6 pounds of nose weight in it, isn't there?
I think like 3 pounds. Because we just bought one
but
of
that
those.
was before epoxy, right?
Yeah, so maybe 4 pounds.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of epoxy in there. That was such a trip to put the nose cone in the ice water so it doesn't disform anything trick, but we're like standing on a stepping stool because the nose cone was so big.
I think
so ridiculous.
Didn't we put it in?
Shane, were you actually there for that?
I was, yeah. It was upside down in the trash can.
Yeah. That was crazy.
But yeah, dude, it was quite the build experience. And so the carbon fiber, like the fins being soft, was sort of an issue we ran into. There was a moment where Matt and I thought that the fin size was wrong, which is iconically slated forever in the video where I was talking about it, and Matt sounds like crazy defensive. He's like, I said that. And Taylor's like, what? And he's like, that the fins look small.
And I had worked out the dimensions like 10 times over while I was making the parts because I didn't want to blow it. And so I was like, no, this is right. I know it's right. And but then I started doubting myself.
Well, do you remember the stipulation though?
No. What?
Well, you were like, is either right or it's Braden's fault because I took the design file and then made full-size templates with my vinyl plotter. So when I cut those out and I like peeled the fins, I was like, I cannot believe how big this is. What are we doing? But yeah. So then after I printed out the templates and Matt and I thought the fins looked small, Taylor was like, well, it's either Braden's fault or no, it's Braden's fault, or they're the right size, basically. But yeah, it all worked out. They were the right size. It just looked, with just the fin can tube, it looked tiny for some reason, which is dumb because one of my favorite pictures from that whole build is, Taylor, when we had both the sections standing up next to each other and you were sitting there holding your regular Punisher between them, because that was like the first time we'd really interacted with building a giant rocket. And I just remember like had my camera and I had to step back like 3 times to fit both the pieces of the rocket in the shot, and I was like, what are we doing, dude? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that was the moment where we're like, oh man, we may have overdone it here, but I'm here for it. But this is way bigger than I imagined.
It was so ridiculous, and it was a good time. We used like 1.5 gallons of West System epoxy building that rocket. The fillets are 3 feet long, and we pulled them with a 2-inch diameter like firework mortar tube.
Yeah, each fillet I think was 6 or 7 pumps of West Systems.
Yeah, dude, that is crazy. And they're not even that big. Like,
no, they're adequately sized.
They might even be a little bit small if you break it down, really. But so it was quite the endeavor. So I mean, we learned a lot. I wanted to talk a little bit about the all thread in the fin can, because this is a hotly debated topic. But we pretty much landed on we're going to do it because a lot of big rocket builds have done it in the past, and it made sense to us that it distributes the recovery load throughout the whole system, right?
Yeah.
I guess my thinking on that is just that, like, if you just have D rings attached to the top centering ring, regardless of that tube also being glued to everything else, it's just that top centering ring that's going to, fillet is going to bear the load. But if that fillet breaks and then you have 3 pieces of all thread attached to all the other centering rings and bolted in place, that's the thinking. A lot of people argue that that's incorrect. So you feel free to fight about it in the comments. Send us an email. Tell us we're stupid. Please.
I feel like it'd be hard to argue that it doesn't distribute the load somewhat, but it's mostly not necessary. I feel on a rocket that size, it at least makes me feel better. It still may not be necessary, but I probably wouldn't. I mean, once you get above 100 pounds without motors, it feels better. I don't know. Plus, we don't believe in thrust plates. I feel like it helps distribute thrust a little bit, but
and we did torque those all thread down some, right? I mean, it wasn't like there was a significant amount of pressure on it, so I feel like that definitely, would.
Yeah, there's nuts on either side of every centering ring.
Yeah, so I feel like it's not, I feel like it would be doing something.
But I mean, this is one of those interesting arguments you get with rocket people too, where they're just like definitively like, that is incorrect.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Oh well, there's your 12-inch punch. That said, we didn't do it in the Arcus, so your mileage may vary. Again, that's contact@aggpodcast.com. Feel free to send us an email and tell us we're dumb. But yeah, I
thought we did it just on the upper part. We tied together.
Oh, we did. You're right. Between the top 2 centering rings.
Top 2 centering rings.
Which again makes sense in my head, but whatever. We're all on the same page here, so this isn't an argument. It's
also, both of these rockets still ended up absurdly light for the size, so I feel pretty good about it. We were I
wanted to run over.
How do people end up with these rockets so heavy?
Yeah,
we just couldn't figure it out. We were trying to add up the components because it's like we get to a certain part in the build where we're just like can't wrap our heads around we realize how much it's going to weigh when it's all done, and we're like, oh wow, that's like 30 pounds lighter than I thought.
Yeah, we're like, oh, it seems supersonic now. That seems like a problem.
And that's when we started reinforcing.
But yeah, out of panic a little bit, but a fun fact that I wanted to throw out there that people might not know about the 12-inch Punisher, because we've never flown it with this configuration, is that it has a second electronics bay, a lower electronics bay, and there's conduits running down between all 3 fins. So it's set up so we can put electronics in the lower coupler and do air starts.
Yeah, shout out us for like being ambitious in planning. Unlike the Arcus.
Yeah, which of anything we've built would have been the perfect rocket to set up for that. We just didn't really have an easy way to like add an electronics bay because that's 2 6-foot tubes. So
Could
We've
have had
talked
a hatch.
about putting electronics in the pods on the outboards of the Arcus. Yeah. Whatever. We still could add one.
Yeah. Possible. We got a 6-foot
There's
tube.
a lot of tubes in there is all.
Well, we just used a couple of the tubes as wire routing.
Perfect. Okay. So Taylor, I think you put in here packing a 28-foot parachute. Was that you?
Yeah. I just remember lots of like, we all knew that was going to be a difficult, not just packing, but trying to figure out recovery in some sort of reliable configuration. Considering I don't know that any of us had used a Cert 3 XL was the biggest parachute any of us had packed at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and nothing with like 80 shroud lines or however many that thing has.
So I just remember opening up for the first time and being like, wow, this is gonna be scary. Just that was one of the things that was always in my head until we
it got
flew
so
it,
real
that I was like, this is going to be one of the biggest hurdles of flying this, is like getting reliable deployment. I feel better about it now that we've done it. I feel like we can replicate it we've been successful in that front, but I knew we were going to need a deployment bag, so I went through the work to get a custom deployment bag from Fruity Shoots. Shout out to Gene at Fruity Shoots. And then we had it, and then it's like, okay, let's try to pack it. And I just remember trying to pack it and then pulling it back out of the bag and doing that like 5 times in my driveway, until we finally got it and felt good about it.
Dude, it got really real really fast when we opened that thing in your backyard at the old house, because like it's really easy to say it's a 28-foot parachute. For those that aren't aware, this is a man-rated 28-foot like round canopy that they use for ejection seats and stuff. And it was just like starting to drag us across Taylor's field with a little bit of breeze. We were like, this is actually insane. Like, we are out of our minds for this rocket. But
I really enjoyed the one contribution I made to the project of running with the parachute and then kind of getting picked up a bit. That was impressive.
And when we tested the D-ring with the e-golf with the parachute, we were through the drogue out the back.
Yeah.
So we got a little stainless steel ring to put basically as like a riser on the drogue chute. So in case there was like a sort of aggressive horizontal velocity on deployment, that it would slide down the shroud lines and let the parachute open slowly, which worked great in testing. And then the first time we flew it, we forgot to put the ring in there and destroyed my brand new Cert 3 large on its very first flight.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
We have yet to successfully use the ring. So, but it's sitting in the van right now. Somehow that keeps getting overlooked, but I left it in there.
Well, shout out to Pam from Sky Angle. She fixed that parachute for free, so that was awesome. I was like, it's not your fault. It was a 200-pound rocket. It was probably 150 with empty motors in it.
Yeah,
it's a bulky boy. I was like, it's not your fault that it ripped. She's like, it's fine. And then I just paid for shipping, and she repaired it and sent it back. It was awesome. But okay, Taylor, there's something interesting you've put in here in the document that says finger painting. What's that?
That was
that not the...
What?
No, go for it.
Oh, so once we did all the composite work, luckily we did, like, the tubes are beautiful, so they required almost no finishing because we got the pre-glass tubes from PML. But all the composite work we did, we use peel ply and stuff, but it only is so good. So we were left with a lot of filling that was required, and so it was a big area. And at this point, it was just me and Braden because Matt had bailed, and so
wait, I remember finger painting a little bit. No, maybe not as much. No,
yeah, you were like, I gotta go.
I think you were.
I got it. Yeah, I got stuff to do.
And so Braden and I decided, well, I don't know. People like micro balloons, right? So we went and got some micro balloons and then mixed some up. And Braden's working on one side of the rocket, and I'm on the other. And I'm like carefully spreading mine to nice even layer. And then I look or I check how Braden's doing over there. And he has it all over his hands, and it looks like a little kid finger painted it all like icing on the side of the rocket. And it was really hot. So at this point, it's starting to gel up, and we're like, well, I guess that's it. And he's like, anyway, I gotta go home tomorrow. So he just kind of bounced, and
dude, it was awesome.
And I had to stand for like 15 hours. But then I ended up finding out about some different filler that worked a lot better. I now realize we needed way more micro balloons in our mixture. That's why we couldn't sand it.
Yeah. Yeah, we pretty much made just like fillet epoxy.
Yeah.
It was bad. But you live and you learn. I wish I could say we like immediately had a better solution when we did the Arcus, but no. We also did dumb stuff on the Arcus. And maybe if people like this episode, we'll do one on the Arcus as well. We can talk about the challenges involved with that thing. The heat shrink tubing and stuff was a blast on that rocket for sure. Okay, well, Taylor keeps disappearing, but he's back. Okay. Lighting a huge cluster, Taylor. Go, it's your last thing. And then we've got some emails to read.
Put simply, you decide to build a rocket with 7 motors, and then you don't really think about how you're going to successfully light all of those motors without being super nervous. And the answer is mostly you don't. We knew copper thermite was a popular choice, so we kind of went that route, but for obvious reasons, we're a little nervous about it. And so for our first flight, we showed up a little unprepared, so that we had someone else make the igniters for us. And we should have just shown up, done more testing, and showed up more prepared is really the answer to that. But it ended up turning out okay. And then both times we've flown it since then, it has been good. But that was something we definitely needed to work on more before the first flight.
For those unaware of what happened on the first flight, for one, we got some insight from somebody who shall remain nameless that M2500s were having fun issues where they turned into M18000s for about a half of a second and then turned things into confetti. And when you've got another $1,500 worth of rocket motors and hardware around that, we decided not to risk that. So Matt threw out the Garmin money on site, and we switched to an N3300 in the middle. There was 3 L1520s and 3 K1000s around it. We're excited about the big pink flame. And then the first flight's ignition system struggled, and by some stroke of luck, we lit 4 motors across from each other, so the rocket still flew straight, and all the recovery stuff worked perfect. It landed dead in the center of a plowed field in Argonia, and we still had an L, a K, and an N in there loaded, so we got to carry out a 150-pound rocket full of motors from a field that's soft enough to crumble under a child. So it was quite the experience. And but yeah, what's crazy is we don't talk about it a whole lot, but because of the way the motors are laid out, the 4 that lit was 2 Ks on one side and 2 Ls on the other, but they were just close enough in thrust that you can see it took off a little to the left relative of where we were standing. But other than that, it stayed straight enough, and all the recovery gear worked. And then we didn't have to buy a new N for the next flight, so that was cool. We came back Cloudburst the next year, did the same cluster, and it worked great. Went way higher than we thought. We thought we were going to get like 10,000 out of it, and it went 13. which is, do you know, Matt? What's
what 13 is, or what the altitude? I think 13 was about 13,000 feet.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Something like that.
But yeah, so that's if you have any questions in particular about this rocket, I know we didn't really like touch on everything. If you have any other comments or anything, make sure to reach out to us at contact@aggpodcast.com or leave a comment on the YouTube channel if you are watching this on YouTube. If you're listening on any podcast platform, there's also a button in the description that says send us a text. You can send a text message directly to our Buzzsprout account, which is the host of our podcast, and boom, we will be in there like swimwear, as they say. Okay. I think we're going to move on to some emails now. Taylor has disappeared again. You know, go ahead, Postart.
I was going to say, should we talk about the hilarious electronic sled in it?
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should touch on the sled.
Yeah.
Because the 12-inch Punisher uses the sled from Taylor's 3-inch Punisher. And we don't mean like a clone of it or the same design. It is the exact same sled that Taylor pulled out of his 3-inch Punisher. It's like 2 by 3.5 inches with 2 stratologgers. It's made from carbon fiber. It has 2 9-volts that are electrical taped to it. And that's it. The E-matches go directly to the terminal blocks on the altimeter, and it is twist and tape for power. So we don't have to have the twist and tape argument again, because we've talked about that quite a lot. But, you know, I think we're big fans.
One of the best decisions we made was,
oh no, dude.
Man, that's terrible.
The first episode back is going to be tough. This is going to be like 15 channels for Taylor, and I'm sure half of them aren't going to upload right. So, well, welcome back. Taylor and Shane and I don't have fiber optic internet anymore, so we thought for sure that we were going to have internet issues.
Yeah.
So far, seems good on our end, so that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't imagine why he's having trouble. He has fiber optic internet now.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
He should do some speed tests. I'm just curious to know what he's getting at. You ever do a speed test, Taylor?
Yeah, we'll put you on that after this
No,
episode.
Matt,
Why
I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
We have a second. Okay. Will says, "Hey fellas, I'm flying here at Bong in southeast Wisconsin and have gotten lucky without any tracking." Oh my god, that's already an insane sentence.
Okay.
Level 1 with a 1-bat Hawk 54mm on an H-169, recovering all of my rockets. There are obviously rocket-specific GPS units available, but I was wondering if you could speak to, for, or against using Spot Trace or ACR Bivy for tracking. They're not the lightest option out there, but between the trees and water, I need something that could take a pounding or survive a swim. Thank you guys for your podcast. Isn't there some FAA issue with flying GPS stuff like dog collars and stuff like that?
Yeah. I can't remember the specifics, but basically it's not meant to be in the air.
Is it the ITAR restrictions?
It could be. I don't know if it's related, but I think for that reason, we should probably steer away giving any advice on flying those. I've been told that there's issues with the FAA if you fly stuff like that, and so I haven't, and would advise that you look into the laws. That's pretty much all I'm going to be willing to say on that one. Matt, you work at Garmin. Do you want to make an official statement?
I know that our devices will cut out after a specific speed and maybe specific velocity. But anyway, I don't quote me on that.
He pleads the fifth, folks.
Something like that.
Rocket Matthew 2015 says, "So I may have a weird one. One time I flew my So Long Distant Thunder, I think on an F-15-0 to an E-16-6. It was a disaster. There's no good news. I lost the rocket forever. We'll never get it back because of my stupid young brain. I want you to fly one on an iMotor for no reason at all, just because. Please do it. That's all I ask for." I actually do have a So Long kit, but I don't feel like trying to build that to survive an iMotor. I also have a rocket that is similar to a rocket in the Oklahoma Science Museum that may have flown at Argumia. Oh, I assume Argonia. Maybe he's using text to speech here. May have been a little bit sad because he got blown up a rocket motor. I knew him, and I have that rocket with a D motor in it. Also, Matt, please just build your demon and fly your 10-inch Nike Smoke on a Smoky motor. Sincerely, Matthew. P.S. My dad kind of destroyed as in shredded my The Shadow on an iMotor. Ooh, the Smoky motor request. Dude, someone would have to bring us the cheapest M1800 on the planet for us to be willing to buy it.
Or the freest.
Yeah, if someone gives us one, we can probably stomach it.
Yeah.
Taylor's like, nope, not even free.
We could do a Sparky one.
Yeah, dude, the M1075? Is that the 987680 Metal Storm?
Yeah, I think so.
Which, by the way, it looks like we're not going to be flying our outboards at Airfest in the current setting, but that's for the next episode where we talk about Argonia stuff. But yeah, somebody asked in the comments, they're like, what's wrong with the M1800? I'm going to fly one. And I was like, oh yeah. I mean, like, it's really just a personal preference. The motor's fine if you like smoky motors. We're just haters, is all. Okay. This comes from Ed. He says, Dear Braden and the group, it spelled my name right. Thank you very much, Ed. I continue to enjoy the AGG podcast. I'm 75 and look forward to every Monday to chill and listen to your show. We'll launch my level 3 probably at Tripoli Houston South site when it's not so effing hot. Yeah, feel that, man. Dude, it's the people going to FAR and flying when it's like 110. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Here's an idea for an AGG podcast. I'll call it Enjoying and Optimizing Your First Time Experience at a Major High Power Launch. A major regional or national launch can be intimidating. Maybe you can prep a newcomer for the experience. So, Ed, thank you for the idea. We are going to record that episode probably next week, but we're recording another one after this, so it will be 2 episodes from now. He says, here's some things you might address. How much time you should budget to simply just viewing the variety of launches. What should you bring as far as comfort, food, and other necessities? How to go about interacting with other attendees, with vendors, hosts, and anyone else. Questions to ask and who to ask. Should you try to launch or just watch? In other words, how much does launching detract from viewing other launches or interacting otherwise? If you do launch, what type of rocket motor would you suggest? Rocket/motor, I should say. Where to stay overnight and what to consider in the place that you choose to stay. We can give you some advice on Argonia. You're going to want to basically stay out of Wellington. The Baymont's okay, but we'll talk about that later. What events besides launches are typically associated with the events, social or scientific events? What equipment should you bring, including electronics? Any camera equipment, a must, type of camera, what especially to photograph or try to? Any sequence to the suggested events noted above? What days and times are the best to visit a 3-day launch if time is a factor and you can't stay for the entirety, and for longer or shorter launches? And what to buy while at the launch? Finally, which launches are must-attends for a high-power experience? Thank you for your consideration. So I think we can pretty much tackle all of those in that episode.
Yeah.
It's a lot, very thorough. We could definitely do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, laid out a whole
dude.
structure that makes our job easy.
And we actually, both of those are up on the Patreon as well. So if you want to support the channel and be part of the conversation, you can go to patreon.com/AGG podcast, I believe. Oh, it's AGG pod. Okay. Let's see here. One last email. A few birds with one email, says David. I bought my first high power kit a few years ago. Finally worked up the confidence to build it, finish it, and get that level 1 this past winter. And a big part of it was due to the amount of informative content you guys put out. So thank you so much for that. Recently, you talked about making a basics of rocketry series. I quickly brought up my question about the Blue Jay altimeter. Thanks for the response. However, I wanted to bring up another situation that you briefly touched on doing, but I don't think I've seen you or any other content creator address, which also hits close to home for me, which is repairing a rocket. Oh boy. Do I have plenty to make content with on that? Last week, I was checking if the fresh paint had cured on the above-mentioned level 1 rocket, and I dropped it on my cement garage floor, which broke fin off. Sanded the whole fin section down as well as the sheared off fin, re-epoxied that fin, and redid all the fillets. Now I'm in the process of laminating 2 layers of fiberglass on the fin section, so that it's far less likely to happen again. The process was pretty self-explanatory, but it got me thinking about other ways things might go wrong, like zippering. In general, pairs might be a good topic to discuss in the series. Outside of that, I recently joined the Patreon. Hey, thanks for the shout out. Only $1 for now because I was caught up in a company downsizing layoff. I will increase when I solidify my next job. Oh my God. It's not that urgent. We appreciate you. I haven't been able to find the Discord link. Is that only for the higher tier subscribers? No, actually, the Discord link is free for anyone. I'll make sure to get it in the description of these episodes across all the platforms. But there is a section that is only for Patreon supporters and channel members of Rocket Vlogs or the AGG Patreon. But I'll put that link in the description. Hopefully. We've still got a lot going on over here, so I'm going to try my best to get it all situated. But yeah, so that's pretty much all we've got for this episode. Those are all the emails we had. And if you want to reach out to us, send us an email at contact@aggpodcast.com. And yeah, anything else, folks?
I don't think so.
It was a lot of fun building the 12-inch Punisher.
Yeah, Postart, did you like it?
Yeah,
it was a blast. I love the non-existent expenses.
Yeah. I wish we had those.
From what I was going to say earlier, when my internet stopped working for the 50th time this episode, one of our best ideas was to just take every simplistic idea of literally every other one of my and Braden's, like how the rocket's set up prep wise and everything, and just do that on a really big scale, because it makes flying it is really not, besides the logistical issues of just a gigantic rocket, like taking multiple people to put together and stuff. It's really no different than flying a 3-inch Punisher. I mean, as far as like recovery prep goes, obviously we have a bunch of motors in the back, so there's that whole deal. But it's like, I think a lot of people get caught up trying to make it overly complex just because it's big rocket. So it's like you have this desire to make it complex, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, we kind of proved that with the Arcus, right? Or even like big stuff like my Honest John or the fiberglass Iris I flew in Bonneville. Like, though, I just built those like any other rocket.
Yeah.
All thread for people to argue about. It's just like epoxy fillets. Like the Honest John, I even just eyeballed the fins in because they were 3/8 fins, but someone misunderstood the assignment when they were slotting those tubes, and they had 5/8 inch slots, so they were just sloppy in there. So I just glued these barn door fins on, just eyeballing it, and that's like one of the straightest flying rockets I own. So don't overthink it, but think it enough that you don't harm some people or trucks. Well, we're back, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Anti-Gravity Group podcast. My name is Braden Carlson. You can find me on YouTube at Rocket Vlogs. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram now on Rocket Vlogs as well. Facebook has exploded. I have like 150,000 followers over there now. Instagram's almost to 50,000. But I've been posting more on my personal Facebook and then resharing it on Rocket Vlogs, because Facebook won't monetize Rocket Vlogs, even though for some reason my personal Facebook account is monetized. So I gotta make my 13 cents per video. It's just something I gotta do, So I don't know what's gonna go on with that, but I've just been burning through a bunch of old video stuff that I've gotten cut into Reels. That's why YouTube's been getting a ton of shorts as well. And it's all happening over there at Rocket Vlogs. And you can follow my regular Instagram at BigB1011 as well.
My name is Taylor, and you can find me on YouTube at the Rocket Channel. And there is, I did put up a video a couple weeks ago for the first time in 8 months or whatever. So check that out.
Great job.
It's I feel pretty good about it. Low effort editing wise, but high effort on me making a nose cone mold. So response is pretty good. So we'll try to do that again next winter.
All right, yeah. Woo.
My name is Shane or Postart. You can find me on YouTube at Postart Propulsions and on Instagram at Shane Harris Photo, and hopefully here back in maybe a week or two. We'll see how things are looking. There's still a lot I have to sort out, but online at hprtools.com. Still sorting things out after the move.
My name is Matthew, and I bought something from HPR Tools and would highly recommend hprtools.com. And you can find me here sometimes.
We are the Anti-Gravity Group. This is the Anti-Gravity Group podcast, and we will see you all next time.
Just hear from Nigel the Rocket Cat. Load up the professional masterpiece, you can bet on that. A launch and a chat with them is guaranteed to be a blast. It's the Anti-Gravity Group podcast. Ooh, ooh, ooh.